you know, every year there's always a few things that you have to tend to, and so this time it's the 15 horse. Yesterday when we went over to Unwin Lake, and even the last few, 2 or 3 days when I've taken it out, it's just been sputtering like crazy. It won't idle at low speed. I kind of thought it was maybe the fuel line, but I swapped fuel lines with Hunter's boat, and it's still not feeding properly, or something with the low speed. So I'm kind of hoping, or at least thinking, that there's either a little grit or maybe a little drip of water down in the carb somewhere. So that's what I'm going to do right now. I'm going to pull the carb off, throw it in a bucket, bring it up top here, take it apart and have a look, blow it out, clean it out. Yeah, I sure hope that's the problem, because otherwise we'll be down and outboard. So here we go. All right, Hunt, I'll pass you this bucket here. All right, and there's the subject of today's attention, or this morning. And so yeah, we'll take off the cover, and we'll see what's going on, pull the carb off, and hopefully we can find the issue.
So basically there are a few 10mm head bolts that go through the airbox in the carburetor and hold it into place. Use a screwdriver to remove the throttle and choke linkages and remove the fuel line. And that's about it. Oh yeah, and it always helps to use a bucket for your tools and parts.
We can take the rest of this upstairs and see what we get up to with it.
Should I stop recording? Should I stop recording?
All right, got the carb off, and we just had a GoPro running just to take the carb off and that, and funny enough, it took 2 minutes and 47 seconds, and that wasn't really trying, that was just, taking one off. So, I mean, it goes to show these things aren't really worth delaying and saying, well, I better get somebody to look at it. If you got basically a 10mm socket and a flathead screwdriver just to pry a few of the the control levers off, less than 3 minutes to pull the carb. So anyway, now we're just going to hope that it's the problem that we think it is, of there being some grit in the carburetor. So I'm going to drain the float bowl now, and let's just see if a bunch of kind of nasties come out of there. And if we get a bunch of grit coming out of the bottom of the carb, or we see some water, then we'll kind of know. Yeah, hard to say. I don't know, there was a little bit of grit when I put the carb in there, but it was really hard to tell at that point. So anyway, we got the float bowl drain. We'll just pull the float bowl off, and we'll see what's in the bottom of it. As mentioned before, whenever you take these apart, always really good to have a bucket you're working out of. You never want to just have a screw or a vital component hit the deck and then, bounces off into the ocean or something like that. Well, I don't really see any debris in the bottom of the float bowl here, so it could just be something that's in one of the circuits there. So you're going to do what you generally do with one of these things. You take the jets out, and the little passageways, you essentially blow some carb cleaner through those, and then try and blow it out as best as possible. And hopefully there was something becomes dislodged. If you're lucky, you'll be able to see that grit fall into the bucket. Okay, well, looking at the discharge tube, it does look actually in pretty good shape. I don't see anything stuck inside it. The main jet, it looks pretty good. It's pretty good. The main jet's a pretty good size on this one, so unlikely that's where the problem is anyway, because we were dealing more with an idle issue anyway. So, but it could just be where it the holes go into the venturi and it pulls the air through and balances the fuel. And low speed idle is always the most challenging for any engine. So anyway, we'll pull this off a little bit more here and we'll see, we'll blow it out and see what we can get. The one other thing too, it's not always possible to see what actually caused the problem. Sometimes you could just blow it out and you could inadvertently solve that problem. We'll find out anyway. I hope that's what it is. Yeah, so far not too much has come out. I've been blowing it out a little bit. You know, there's a little bit of stuff, but I don't know, nothing real obvious. I'm just gonna blow out the sort of maze of circuits and orifices and hopefully we get lucky here.
If you own and use an outboard for any amount of time, you are likely to encounter this problem. So what contributes to this type of issue? Well, there are several factors. The first is minimal filtering. The outboard has a small filter screen that will filter out the larger particulate, however some obviously makes it by. The second factor, I'm told, is running gas with ethanol. Often out of convenience, we may fill up outboard tanks at the gas station with regular unleaded when we're filling up the car. I have heard ethanol can also leave deposits. Additionally, ethanol will absorb moisture, which can over time, especially with the daily extreme temperatures of a partially filled dinghy tank, will lead to water in the fuel. If you're serious about avoiding this maintenance, it's a good idea to mount a quality fuel filter with a water separator between the gas tank and the outboard. Apparently, I would rather do this maintenance more often than I should.
I'll put that on my dinghy.
You're welcome to it, Hunt. You can have it if you like. Alright, well I found the small jet here, and this one looks like it actually could be plugged. Probably won't be able to see it on camera here or anything, but I'm going to blow that one out. And I think that's about the last thing I can really do for this thing, so we'll see if I get lucky with that. It did seem to have a little bit of grit possibly in it, or at least kind of possibly a bit plugged up, but you know, we'll see once we get it all back together. That's the only way we'll be able to find out for sure. But there are some very small holes in it, and doesn't take much to disrupt it.
The carburetor goes back together the same way it came apart. There's not that many pieces, so it's not too difficult. The other thing to confirm is that the float and associated inlet valve is working properly. If the float level is incorrect, it will either flood with gas or starve the engine, most apparent at full throttle. Well, you can already tell the same problem is present as it was before. And this is what makes it so frustrating is, unless you can get an outboard to get down to idle, it's very difficult to shift and maneuver.
Still not right. Still doesn't seem right.
Not good.
In hindsight, there was one vital component I was missing for this service work: compressed air. I had hoped the pressure of the carb cleaner would be enough to blow out whatever gunk was inside, causing this dilemma. But it wasn't. The frustrating part is I have a 3-gallon compressor aboard with enough power to run it at anchor, but neglected to bring an air hose and a blower nozzle. Often when we come out on these big long trips in the middle of nowhere, it can be the simplest things that limit your ability to solve a problem. Even a can of compressed air might have helped. But on this day, the repair would not be successful. In a few days I'd be getting the resources I need to complete this service. Stay tuned for the conclusion in the next video or so. Thanks for watching. Anyway, now we're just gonna hope that it's the problem. Drop that. That could have been bad.
Wait, what?
I dropped this little bit here. If I lose that, it would be bad.